The crew arrives in style, complete with a red carpet and underwhelmed crowds. Notice that the last words of the last scene stated,
"Black tie required."
but no one's actually wearing any ties. Okay, so here's an example of something BioWare's good at. Banter between characters. There are 27 different variations of this red carpet scene depending on who gets brought along, Shepard's romantic status, Shepard's gender, and whether Shepard's face is messed up or not. Which is a first outside of emails, promo art, and medical checkups. Inside, Shepard has to mingle with guests while Mayasu finds the air vent. Or you could just follow her. You know it's a fundraiser when there's an abstract piece of art labeled fundraiser. The vent has an alarm on it, and Shepard has to play solo memory with the added challenge of discretion. I would give BioWare credit for having Mayasu acknowledge and engineer Shepard's class, but the line that comes before it is exactly the same as Shepard wasn't an engineer. Once Mayasu is in the vent, Shepard has to blend in by mingling with other guests. In reality, it's just a time killer between Mayasu running into issues and needing Shepard to play some more stolen memory. The guests themselves vary, though I felt confused with some of them as Shepard talks to them like we should already know them. Ooh, the consort! Remember the consort and how she might have been an important side character? What great words of wisdom do you have for the savior of the galaxy?
When?
Well, goodbye, Shaira, and thanks for the unfired Chekhov's trinket that was never spoken of again. Here's a quick overview of some of the other interactable guests. The ignorant, aspiring politician.
What's your connection to Khan exactly?
He's a campaign contributor.
Uh-huh. You may want to do a background check on him.
Snooty Asari charity duo.
I feel so bad for the humans. If you need a place to stay or anything, you just let me know.
Varen gambler guy.
So what? Raw Krogan leg?
Oh man, my dogs would love that. Kind of illegal though.
The bartender.
Oh wait, a volus bina. The alcohol puts you on the floor, and the ammonia lets you clean up the mess you made. If you live.
Human Circassian scientist.
Learned a lot, huh?
For the mating pools, way more than I wanted to know.
And the lawyer.
You think I should defend the Citadel Council if they get sued?
Who said anything about defense?
Okay, that line was actually amusing. I was going to bring up this point later, but...
You, tough guy? Perfect. I need an opinion on something from a B-lister or below. Houses with retractable roofs. Still in or too common?
Your house has a retractable roof?
Only the one on the Citadel. I gotta take care of it since the one on Earth got all Reaper-fied.
Instead of remodeling, maybe you could invite a few refugees to come stay.
Shepard, you're one to talk, seeing that you now own an apartment you not only not need, but it's way too big for one person. Why don't you invite some refugees to your apartment? Hell, the apartment alone could house around 7 families, with plenty of elbow room left over. Shepard could rent out a smaller but fancier place, or just use the captain's cabin if you're feeling that pragmatic. I find it ironic that the most shallow person at this party is the only one that comes close to reminding Shepard who the enemy is, even though it's through a made-up verb. I feel like BioWare is trying to make some sort of political statement about the privilege during a time of war with a lot of these guests, but it doesn't work because Shepard isn't trying to convince any of these guests that rather than paying for a party to help refugees, they should just help the refugees as directly as possible, except in the one instance that made Shepard a hypocrite. Jonan Ashland is the only sympathetic character at this party, having lost most of his business in the Reaper attack, though he still has his wealth. He brings up some optimism about the state of the galaxy after the war.
Shindig like this. Humans and Turians together like it's nothing. Council species all concerned about the fate of Batarians. Everybody trying to have sex with the Asari.
That's not new.
Just seeing if you were awake.
So, all these species in one room?
Yes, nobody's afraid of each other anymore. If we win this thing, the galaxy's going to be a pretty great place.
All of these races in the same room? I took a census of the party and came up with these stats. This is just a personal nitpick I've had with the whole series. Why are there more humans littered around than any other alien species that have been populating the galaxy as a whole for 1,000 years, while humans have only been on the galactic scene for 30? I have to question how a human-based company could corner the helium-3 market throughout the galaxy, or how a human-founded mercenary group can become one of the top 4 merc groups in the galaxy when the other races have had a foothold for a lot longer. I guess it's Mass Effect 2 established humans are special. The only guest I personally liked is Roland Quan, the con artist playing Robin Hood, if only because I wish he'd conned Shepard into leaving this casino with him and making him sign over the deed to the apartment.
So you're a con man.
Con men leave their marks angry. Con artists leave them smiling.
Or maybe it's just a seductive Turian voice. He would also be the most useful guest at the party for the mission, if not for the fact that the information he gives you on Khan is rendered useless in the next scene. A quick tip to anyone wanting to skip the mingling. The game autosaves after a section of stolen memory. Load that autosave and the game starts at the beginning of the next stolen memory section. Anyways, after a few games of stolen memory and mingling, the crew meet up with Myasu in front of Khan's panic room. The crew enter to find Khan dead. What a twist. His PC has been wiped, but the con was accidentally left intact. Shepard hits up the mastermind behind the attack on them.
Elijah, come crawling back.
Guess again.
You. I see you've recovered from flopping on the floor like a fish.
You'll need to do better than that. The last guy that trash-talked me was a few kilometers taller than you.
Brave. I thought as much, but it won't matter. You have nothing. All you can do is wait for the hammer to fall.
Why do this? What did I do to you?
I'm gonna take everything you have and everything you are.
And the conversation leads nowhere. It's like seeing into the mind of a criminal genius. Speaking of criminal, no concern about Khan or leaving fingerprints at the scene of a murder. In fact, I don't think Shepard even calls CSAC. Now there's a large plot hole here. During the mission briefing, Shepard can bring up the point that Khan could be an ally, which Liara counters that Khan would be on the lookout for Shepard, thinking that they might be out for revenge. So why is Shepard even allowed to set foot in the casino? There are cameras everywhere, and if Khan is paranoid enough to have a panic room, one would expect him to at least take a look at the cameras to make sure there isn't someone he knows there to kill him. And it couldn't have been because Shepard was in disguise, as stated by Javik, because everyone recognizes Shepard.
Commander Shepard.
Commander Shepard.
Shepard.
Hell, Roland Quan points out that they're wearing a radio in their ear that no one else finds suspicious, including the security guards that they have to talk to as part of the mission. Roland Quan states that Khan isn't a very smart person, but if that's true, how did he end up as a rich casino owner running a weapon smuggling business on the side? Shepard should have warned their squad mate that they were going to call the identity thief so they could get a track on him immediately, rather than just calling them and having the inexperienced intelligence officer jump to it.
Did you sustain cranial damage in the fall, Commander?
Back at the apartment, okay, so that doesn't happen, but it does raise the question as to why the mercs don't attack Shepard at the apartment, or why CSEC hasn't shown up yet to ask Shepard some questions about the shootout in the wards. Shepard can connect with his crew, while Myasu and Edie try to recover data off the wiped drives. You can guess why Myasu and Edie are working together when Edie can just do it herself. Joker and Garrus make a reference to the sushi tank incident. Liara, Ashley, and Rex reference not being picked up to go to the party. Javik is Javik. Kaden has an interesting story to tell, but shuts up. Tali is hopeful. Edie subverts her absence. Steve restates what happened. And James sets up a joke for the next mission briefing. And it's stupid to think that an apartment that has been empty for months would be stocked with food. Which...
Maybe you could invite a few refugees to come stay.
And besides, if you weren't invited to go to the party, why didn't you just order something sooner? Myasu is then ready to share her findings. In another minute. But in the meantime, she lives up to her namesake some more by stroking the ego of the Normandy crew.
Like she needs it. You're the crew of the Normandy. You're legends to the rest of the Alliance.
Legends can be good or bad. Which are we?
You're the kind that people look up to. The kind they owe their lives to.
How come everyone's always shooting at us?
I think it's mostly you, Rex. The bigger the target, the bigger the, target.
You're saying I've gained weight?
It just means there's more of the legend to love.
And the camaraderie, the friendship. I think that's your secret weapon.
So you're saying that the reason Shepard and crew overcame anything is because of love? Just really?
It's all just part of the job. Wait,
Job? You mean the rest of you are getting paid for this?
The Merc Group acquired heavy firepower for reasons unknown, until it's revealed right away that they're breaking into the top secret Citadel archives. Okay, if Shepard's Spectre codes were being used to gain access to the archives, why is it going into lockdown? Are Spectres, the right hand of the Council, not allowed to access sensitive information that might be critical to their mission? Is it really because of the fingerprints as brought up later? Furthermore, why isn't C-Sect or anyone on the Council's payroll responding to the lockdown, as we'll see later?
Then we'll find our own way in. Gear up and let's... What's with the Volas?
Oh, pizza delivery guy. I got the munchies.
Double pepperoni.
Shepard suggests rather than the usual take only 2 other people with them, that they all go on this mission. Which raises the question why Shepard never does this at any point in Mass Effect 3, especially at the end of the game.
But, who gets to take point with you?
Who's going to pay the bill?
What's the best way into the archives?
The facility is located below the wards. Maybe a direct breach for maximum surprise?
I like it. Sounds like you're learning the ropes.
The crew gather outside the archives with the intention of blasting their way through to catch the enemy by surprise. Of course they bring Maya Sue along, because as she's demonstrated at the casino and sushi restaurant, she's got great combat and problem-solving skills. They sneak into the archives only to get immediately ambushed. Maya Sue gets captured, and we find out the identity to our identity thief.
Whatever you think you're getting away with, there's nowhere you can run. Nowhere you can hide where we can't find you. Hide? Why? I'm Commander Shepard. I never hide.
Okay, so where to even start? Let's set aside the idea that the evil twin trope is the sign of creative bankruptcy. The existence of a Shepard clone makes sense in the lore. Sarah made an army of Krogan clones, Shepard had 2 heavily genetically modified clones as part of their crew, and the explanation of Shepard's clone makes sense.
Where did you come from? The same DNA as you.
A clone.
Cerberus spared no expense resurrecting you. With me, I was created for spare parts, in case you needed another arm, or a heart, or a lung.
However, the reality surrounding the Shepard clone makes no sense. Miranda later states that she never mentioned the Shepard clone because she only heard rumors that she wasn't sure about. So, as the clone stated, Cerberus spared no expense to bring Shepard back to life, including making a clone for spare body parts, but the Elusive Man withheld this information and a resource from Miranda, the lead scientist of Project Lazarus? Why? Speaking of holes in logic, does anyone remember this?
He helped me recover your body from the Shadow Broker.
Why did the Shadow Broker want my corpse?
He was going to sell you to the Collectors, but Farron and I stopped him.
Preserve Shepard's body if possible.
If Cerberus knew that the Collectors wanted Shepard's body, why didn't they ever lay a trap for the Collectors using the now unneeded Shepard clone? They could have planted him on a colony to draw them out, and assaulted the Collectors with an army. Or, what about when the Elusive Man becomes indoctrinated? Why didn't he give the Shepard clone to the Reapers? Or enhance the clone with Reaper tech and have them take the role of Kai Lang? Oh right, because an evil clone as a villain is something an 8-year-old will come up with. Still, it would be a more relatable villain than Kai Lang. Where were we? Oh yes, the villain for this DLC is an evil Shepard clone. So, as Clone Shepard states, they're the real thing perfected, with no wear and tear, or emotional doubts and baggage because Shepard was always meant to be a lone wolf. So, combat experience and cybernetic enhancements are considered a bad thing? The doubts and failures are what puzzle me. When has Shepard ever been overly emotional about his doubts and failures? There's the loss of Thessia, but since this DLC can take place before that, it's difficult to know if that's the only thing. There is Shepard dwelling on not Starchild being an allegory for millions of lives on Earth that they will be unable to save, but how does Clone Shepard know that? Shepard only talks about it a handful of times to the crew on the ship, and we don't ever see Shepard as a public figure giving speeches to reassure the galaxy that they can win the battle against the Cerber Reapers. So that line could just be the clone making assumptions. The lone wolf aspect also confuses me. When has Shepard ever thrown up their hands and say, screw it, I should do things my own way? If clone Shepard means that Shepard shouldn't be working for someone else, such as the Alliance, the Council, or Cerberus, like they've always have been, that could work. But it seems like the clone is implying that Shepard shouldn't have squad mates as well. Because clone Shepard has gone this far all by themselves, right? Well, we see that this clone shares Shepard's intelligence and brick characterization. So much for those neural enhancements. Clone Shepard's ultimate goal is to steal Normandy and assume Shepard's identity. What they plan to do after is very vague. Clone Shepard claims that Shepard's too focused on saving aliens and has turned their back on humanity. What Clone Shepard wants to do for humanity is never stated, nor is what they think they can do differently than Shepard to win the war. Because it's not like Shepard's been gathering an army to save the human homeworld or anything.
I'd never fool my supposed friends. The ones who abandoned their duty to join the cult of Shepard. The cult of Shepard ends today.
The cult of Shepard? That just sounds stupid. First off, Shepard's crew does question their decisions at some points in the story, showing that they don't follow them blindly. Though admittedly, it's not like Dragon Age Origins, where companions will leave if they disapprove greatly with the player's choice. The closest we get to that is the Vermeer survivor standing up against Shepard and getting killed, or Tali disagreeing with choosing the Geth over the Quarians and committing suicide. Hell, Legion and Rex will try to murder Shepard depending on some choices. So like in typical Bond villain form, Clone Shepard leaves the crew to their goons rather than executing them themselves right then and there, as the clone already has everything they need. And just like in Bond fashion, the crew get away and fight back. The crew press on in separate groups to discover the massive scope of the Citadel archives and its many vault containers. After coming face to face with themselves, you would think that Shepard might be having an identity crisis similar to the half-assed one thrown in at Chronos Station, but they don't want to talk about it. Don't make me start a clone joke counter. Hey, did you know that Shepard could call up Glyph at any time and order it around? Neither did I, but apparently Glyph can scout ahead, locate targets, and act as a carrier pigeon. A lot of missions where Glyph might have been useful. Glyph is apparently an AI now since it starts finding information fascinating and wishes to discuss things with the scientists that discovered it. Yet somehow it's still dumb enough not to be able to tell the difference between the real Shepard and clone Shepard.
Stupid machine.
Chatika is so much better at this.
Then why aren't you using Chatika instead? Shepard has to get into a vault container operated by another squad in order to continue. Okay, stop right there. If this place is this elaborate, why the hell isn't there anyone else here? As far as we've seen in any of the Mass Effect games, the Citadel seems to operate all the time. So where are all the people that work here needed to operate this equipment, or the guards protecting the Council's secrets, or at the very least, where are their bodies? There is an overhead message that instructs the workers to evacuate and not engage the intruders. But again, where's the security in this highly secure place? Inside the vault, Shepard can pick up an assault rifle from the First Contact War that doesn't use thermal clips! Unfortunately, the Galaxy threw away all their frictionless material, and the gun's capacity isn't that great on top of the gun needing to be vented, rather than cooling down automatically if the gun is overheated all the way. Which if the animation is interrupted, the gun will not cool down. BioWare, please stop trying to convince us that thermal clips were a good idea. The mercs corner the other squads and the clone gives the order to eliminate them, like they should have done earlier! Shepard activates cutscene power to the max mode, and we get a scene of camaraderie. Again, this raises the question, why doesn't Shepard take everyone with them? Wait, Cortez is part of the squad? Why couldn't I have him as part of my squad? Or take him as my date to the casino? For that matter, why didn't he come to Shepard's rescue if they were in a romantic relationship? He seems to be able to change from soldier uniform to battle armor in no time. The team splits up again because it worked so well as seen a minute ago. The crew now enters the museum part of the shooting gallery, and a lot of the secrets here are really lackluster because none of it is real galaxy-shattering classified information, and there's nothing new here. We see a Turian interrogation of a human during the First Contact Wars that doesn't tell us anything new or show us anything new, though I have to question how they're understanding each other language-wise if they're at war with each other, as I doubt linguists would have had time during a new war to study and translate every human language to make a translator. There's an audio file of the Krogans declaring the start of the Krogan rebellions. I don't really see why this is considered classified information. There's a pointless scene of some people destroying the last of some legal AIs on the Citadel a year after the start of the Morning Wars, which utilizes the mech models from Mass Effect 2. An entry of the guest attack on the Citadel, only to change to include the involvement of Saren and Sovereign in the presence of the Spectre. First off, if this is a highly sealed archive of secrets, why would they need to be classified information on top of classified information, which the Battle of the Citadel isn't exactly a secret event? And second, there's no reason to hide the potential existence of Reapers in the middle of Reaper War. Next is the scene of the Genophage dispersal. The scene depicts a group of Turians at the Shroud stating that they have been ordered to disperse the Genophage. A Solarian scientist disagrees with the order by stating that the order wasn't authorized by his government. The Turian states that the Solarian government created the Genophage, and what good is a weapon if it's not used, and orders one of his sergeants to restrain the Solarian. The sergeant questions the order to release the Genophage, stating that it's genocide. The general orders his other sergeant to restrain them both and he'll release the Genophage himself. Where to begin with this one? One of the biggest stories of the Mass Effect universe is the tale of the Krogan species, how they were uplifted to fight the Rachni only to become as big of a threat as the Rachni. The galactic community came together to find a solution that didn't involve eliminating the Krogan species, like the Krogan did to the Rachni, and decided creating a virus that decreased the Krogan high birth rate was the best way to keep the Krogan in check. Throughout the narrative, there have been different arguments over the ethical and moral issues raised by this galaxy-changing decision, implying that the great minds of the time debated this issue and came to the difficult but necessary decision. This scene reduces that decision in the initial release of the Genophage to the choice of a trigger-happy general. Way to go, BioWare, on ruining the best-running storylines in the trilogy. Why is this scientist even working on the Genophage at all if he's opposed to it? What did he think that their governments were going to do with it, if not release it? There's a scene of the first Spectre being selected. Not really impressive, though it is odd that with the existence of the Justicars, that the first Spectre would be a non-Asari. There's an entry that states a religious artifact was recovered from Earth. If the display is viewed from a distance, the artifact they're talking about is the Ark of the Covenant. This one raises questions about how this is possible. For one, who recovered the Ark of the Covenant and how, when the charm relay was frozen? The only lore I can recall that described council races visiting Earth pre-spaceflight is some cut content from the Shadow Broker files involving Samara's younger years. I know this is supposed to be a reference to the warehouse scene from the first Indiana Jones movie, but why even go there and give Giorgio Tsoukalos more credibility? Next is what I think is the best historical hologram of the Asari's first exploration of the Citadel, which goes as one would imagine. Lastly is Shepard's review for becoming a Spectre, not presented by Udina, Hackett, or Anderson like the beginning of the series, with foreshadowing of what is about to happen in the next few minutes.
Commander, do you copy?
What's your status?
The other U is jamming our radios. Hammerhead and Mako are trying to get ahead and cut him off. But I've been hit and need help. Please, hurry.
Maybe you should just use more of Shepard's metagel. You seem to have unexplainable access to it. Shepard walks right into a trap, and it's revealed that Myosu was working for the clone the entire time. Gee, I'm so shocked and surprised.